Welcome back to another episode of the Game Language Podcast. It's a new year.
It is.
Happy New Year. Well, happy late New Year.
2025.
2025. I'm going to say 2024 so often. I can feel it. I can feel it. I'm going to sign everything with 2024.
You know, I would say yes, but my job makes me enter 2025 all the time
Yeah.
when I'm denying people. So
No, okay. About how
I'm a little
long,
used to it.
every year, about how long does it take for you to get it right? It takes me about a month and a half maybe.
Yeah, usually. If I don't have something that like makes me write the date a bunch, no, I tend to just February's when it finally kicks in.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a new year. I'm happy to be here. Of course, this is the Game Language Podcast, where we deduce, dissect, and discuss video games and whether or not they speak our language. I'm Troy, and with me always and
Jason.
forever.
Oh, and forever. I love this. Oh.
Until the podcast ends, and then we're never together again.
Well, I hope it never ends.
It won't. But, of course, in this new year, what you been playing, man?
Oh, man. I've been playing a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah?
For me.
Yeah.
Competitive games.
Yeah. New year, new games for you, huh?
I know. I've been playing, of all things, League of Legends.
What's that? We got them, boys.
We got them, boys. Yeah, you did. And also, like, I was enjoying Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
And then it got me.
It got you, yeah.
Yeah, no, the new season with Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but it was just like,
Yeah.
the switch flipped, and I was like, oh man, I love these Overwatch style games. And I was like,
I think the third person really helps.
It really does.
It really helps because I feel way more like I am enjoying the characters that I'm playing as. I mean, I love Overwatch. I really do. I played so many hours of it. But picking a character and only seeing their hands and their gun, eventually you kind of forget the character that you're playing as. In Marvel Rivals, the skin that I buy, the animations that I get to see, everything is, I can still be enjoying it while I'm playing the game.
I was gonna say I am kind of an animation whore.
Yeah.
And that's why I love third person games so
Yeah,
much.
and they have a ton of great animations in this game.
Because like I liked Overwatch 2 as well.
Yeah.
But being able to see like all the different moves your character does, but like seeing how like because these Marvel Rivals devs they went in
Yeah.
on these characters. So like just being able to see like all of Invisible Woman's like force fields or pulls, and then there's just a bunch of this.
Mm-hmm. For those people, he's just
I'm doing hands. You know, she's out there just like casting.
Yeah. I really do like a lot of the animations. Mr. Fantastic is goofy looking, so goofy looking, but I do like him. And I feel like if they keep up the quality of this with their seasons, I'm gonna be here for a while. New stage is fun. Game also comes with a brand new opening animation for the new season, which is cool. You get your winning and out your win and loss animations for the new stage. The battle pass has got tons of great content in it. No, I can see why you're addicted to it, and it's been a good game. I look forward to playing it every time I have free time.
Yeah, I will say there is one other game that I just got yesterday because it just came out yesterday. But Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yeah,
HD.
How's that been?
Really good. Really good.
So like first, when you turn on the game for the first time, what was your first initial reaction to it?
Okay, that one was a little bit more deflated because like I turned it on and I was like, it's Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah,
but not the same as Tropical Freeze. Like it wasn't as good as that game's opening is.
Yeah,
but I mean it's a lot older.
Yeah,
and like they didn't really give it like the full remake treatment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they HD'd everything and then gave Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong their like fur from Tropical Freeze, which makes it look really nice. That's what I'm enjoying. I never played this game originally, so I'm having a lot of fun playing it for the first time.
Yeah.
But I also will say I'm like, man, I wish I didn't play Tropical Freeze first, because like Tropical Freeze added like all the other Kongs.
Yeah.
You only get Diddy.
Oh, Returns. Yeah. And you have, what is it, Trixie or Tracy, or how do you say?
It's
Dixie.
It's Dixie Kong.
Dixie
Sorry.
Kong.
I always get confused because there's Tiny Kong, who also is another blonde Kong. She's from Donkey Kong 64, which I played a lot of.
Yeah.
But Dixie Kong is the one that's in Tropical Freeze, and Cranky Kong.
Yeah.
So you get to choose between the three. And like they also added Funky Kong, who's really fun.
Yeah.
None of that in this one. It's just I think the only real difference is they combined all the 3DS extra levels that they added to make this just like one big one.
Yeah.
And then there's a modern mode that gives you an extra heart, and I didn't pick that because I'm an OG gamer. I played original mode.
In the original, do they only give you what, 2 hearts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you get 3, I guess 2 mistakes. Okay.
I guess technically you get 1 mistake on original mode, and then the second one's your death.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But I mean, you can also heal whenever you get Diddy Kong, and there's hearts in the stages. So.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a lot of what I've been playing. What you been playing?
Dude, I've been playing a lot of Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. I've been addicted to it, man. It is a very, very good game. I think that there's a lot of love and care put into it. Every time I think I'm starting to get bored, I come across a really cool puzzle, or I get a new power, or I fight a boss that has cool cutscenes. You've seen some of the cutscenes that they have.
You've been showing me that game, and I've been like, okay.
Yeah, it does help that.
It
does help that the ultra wide thing that I have on there is actually working now, because it wasn't working before, so that was causing me a lot of issues. Having to uninstall and reinstall the game over and over again, that was like deflating it. But the game is like so much fun, and it's been kind of the thing outside of Marvel Rivals or League of Legends. I go and I play some of Prince of Persia and try and make some more progress. They have a lot of really cool modern implementations that keep you from getting lost. That's like the biggest killer of Metroidvanias, is you and I've talked about it, where you leave the game for a couple days or a week or a month or whatever, and then you come back and play it, and you're like, where was I? Where do I go? Time to start over.
Yeah, I know it's not popular, but like, hot take, give me an accessibility option in a lot of these Metroidvanias where it's just like, give me guided mode.
Yeah, because that's exactly what exactly what Prince of Persia has. So what I can do is I can turn on the guided mode, and it tells me where my next quest is on the map. I can put a marker and then turn it right off, and now I know where I'm supposed to go, and then just play again. And I pretty much only use guided mode as a way to get back into the game if I've left it for a while. Also, they let you take screenshots in the game, which you told me they did in another
Assassin's
Ubisoft
Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, so anytime I come up to a wall that I can't get into or get past or something, I just take a quick screenshot and go on about my day. And when I need to go and check, all right, where am I supposed to go? I can go check all my screenshots and be like, oh yeah, there's a reason I can't go past there.
I have a question on that, because while Odyssey would let you do that too, one of the cool features with Odyssey was that it would have let you connect to the Ubi network.
Yeah,
and you could see everybody's photos that they uploaded. Does that do that in Lost Crown?
So no, currently I'm not. That I don't know. So I'm not connected to the Ubi network, I don't think.
Okay.
And if I am, I'm not utilizing it. And in addition, I don't think it would help, just because it's just the same singular photo. Since it's only 2D, you know what I mean? You walk into a room, you walk to a wall, you just take a photo of that wall. And if they showed me all of the areas that I haven't uncovered yet, that might spoil where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah.
So
the only reason I asked that is like it helped me when I was like searching for side stuff.
Yeah.
Where I was like, okay, well, there's a point of interest on the map here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they would let you filter your photos, your friends' photos, or like the public photos. And if my friends didn't have anything there, I'd be like, okay, well, my friends aren't Assassin's Creed fans. Go and see what the world has, and then you'll like see a bunch of photos from different angles of people being like, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
That's pretty sick. Yeah.
And so that helped out a lot. And so I'm like, I wonder if that would help in Lost Crown, where you're just like, man, my picture wasn't that good. What am I supposed to do here? And someone's just like, here you go. Yeah.
Luckily, it is just 2D, so I just take a photo and it's that room. But yeah, that would be. I would like to play a game where I get to utilize that feature, because I've never experienced that before. That seems kind of cool. But yeah,
cool.
Just Prince of Persia: Lost Crown as much as I can. I want to beat that game soon.
Yeah, because there's a big game that's coming out this week that'll take away a lot of time from that. But before we talk about more games, let's find out what's going on in the world of gaming with our 3 bites of news stories. First, bite-sized news of 2025. And can you believe it? It started out with Switch 2 revealed on a random Thursday. Yeah, we're going to go more into detail on this, but like, what a Nintendo move. Everyone's like, it's going to happen this week. It's going to happen this week. you think Nintendo would be like, tune in tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They just dropped it at like 2 a.m. and was like, here's your first look at the successor to the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch 2. So I was just like, all right, thanks. On another piece of news, Assassin's Creed Shadow has faced another delay. This time, just going out about a month. It went from February 14th to March 20th. And they cited like polish as the reason for it. I also feel like the game, this was a smart delay, actually, though. There's a lot of games coming out in February.
Yeah.
This was going to come out the same day as Avowed, the other giant open world RPG, and also in the same week as Pirate Yakuza.
Dang.
And then on top of that, a week before Monster Hunter Wilds. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm glad you're doing more polish, but we know the real reason.
Yeah.
Get away from the monster.
Yeah. That's a smart decision.
So, yeah, I don't know how to feel about that one other than I'm glad you're getting out of the busy season. But yeah, on to our last piece of news. This one actually hurts. We found out, thanks to Bloomberg reporting, Sony has canceled 2 live service video games from Bluepoint Studios and Sony Bend Studios. We don't know what Bend was working on. We just know that they've been working on it for 3 years. But we did find out through the reporter Jason Schreier that Bluepoint was working on a live service God of War game. And then that's been canceled.
Jeez.
Now, one thing that is a silver lining is that both of these studios are not being shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Sony has said that they are going to not lay them off and that they are going to just put them onto different projects.
Mm-hmm.
So I do find that to be a positive, but I also think like, man, you're going to cancel something after 3 years?
That seems pretty deep into development to cancel something, right?
Yeah. That usually means that like it was in full production. Because pre-production's usually anywhere from like a year to 2 years.
This is essentially all that Bluepoint's been working on?
Yeah, Bluepoint is not a big studio.
Yeah.
They only have about 52 to 60 employees.
Yeah.
So, like when Naughty Dog canceled their live service game, it was like it was a portion of Naughty Dog. It wasn't Intergalactic didn't get affected by that.
Mm-hmm.
With Bluepoint, like they don't have a team big enough to work on multiple projects. So like the team just got like essentially all the work they've been doing. We're not going to see another Bluepoint game for probably like 7 years.
Damn.
Yeah, really sucks because I love Bluepoint.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of what they, especially as their remakes go, when it comes to like Shadow of the Colossus and Demon Souls. So really disappointed by this. Although I am like, I guess I'm a little salty and angry though that Sony chose to make them do a God of War live service game.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that would look like.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. Those are two things that I didn't think I'd ever hear put together. So I'm kind of happy that it got canceled because I can't imagine that would be too fun. But yeah. I wish it would have been like a lot earlier that they realized, hey, let's pivot.
Yeah, especially because like I get you can live service a lot of like franchises, but like I find it extremely hard to live service a game that has a titular character, like one that it's focused. Like if God of War doesn't have Kratos, like I'm probably not playing it.
Right. Just
being 100% real. And so if they did like a live service game, it's like, is everybody Kratos?
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is my Kratos, and I put face paint differently on him. And it's like, what the hell did you guys do?
We're all Kratos.
We're all Kratos. Find your inner Kratos. Maybe that was their headline. But yeah, that's it for the news this week. Yeah, exciting, but also a little meh.
Yeah,
for the beginning of the year.
we've got a new thing coming up soon, but first I kind of wanted to check in on something with you. So you brought up the Switch 2. I kind of want to talk about that first, if that's all right.
Okay.
So with the Switch 2, I had a lot of like burning questions. I'm sure you've looked into it a little bit more than I have. So first and foremost, you got to talk to me about this whole Joy-Cons as a mice thing.
Okay, so
And maybe you need to lead up to it. If you want to talk about a couple features and then get to that, that's fine. But I like, you're the guy I'm going to talk to. I got to ask a lot of questions about this.
no, I get it. I'm the Nintendo nerd. I love Nintendo, and I was so excited to see this reveal, and then I was deflated when I saw it was 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Great music for the trailer.
Yeah.
I think for anyone who hasn't seen it, imagine your Switch. Beautiful handheld.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Thinking about it now.
And increase it about 15% in size.
Okay.
That's about it. No, that's not true. So one of the things, so there's a few core things that make it different from the original Nintendo Switch. One, it is bigger. It does seem to have a 1080p screen.
Okay.
We haven't gotten full confirmation on that, so take that with a grain of salt. But I do believe it's not 720.
Mm-hmm.
Manufacturing leaks have said 1080 for the LCD screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go off that. The Joy-Cons have gotten bigger as well. So, the screen's bigger, so the controller's got to be bigger.
Which will be helpful. I think
Yeah.
having bigger Joy-Cons will be a lot more helpful. I wonder how... So have they talked about the weight of this full system? Have you seen anything about that yet?
I haven't seen anything about the weight.
I just recently held the what do you call it? The Steam Deck, and didn't realize how light it would be. So I wonder if the Switch 2 is going to be a little bit lighter, because the biggest issue I always had was the Joy-Cons digging into my wrist, which I did see in the trailer. It looks like they're a little bit more curved now, if I'm not
They're
mistaken.
more curved, and they hold better because of the magnetic. And it's not magnetic, actually. It seems to be like a USB-C connector. So now it clicks in instead of like slots in.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with the rail system on the current Switch is that, like, I'm sure you've noticed, but once you hold it for a bit, if you're not holding the bottom of the Switch's screen, it'll like raise a little bit.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen with the Switch 2, is that it's all one form factor.
Okay.
It doesn't slip. They did add an additional button called the C button, but in my opinion, I'm surprised by it, because I'm like, it looks like the capture button.
Yeah, it goes like, it's like right underneath the home button, right?
Well, yeah, which is where the current capture button is. The only difference is that capture button's not on the left Joy-Con, but now it is. Like they've added the button to both sides, which makes me think it might have something to do with that other feature that you were talking about.
Yeah.
One of the things we saw in the trailer is that when the Joy-Cons detached, they put the guardrails on.
Yeah.
Now, the guardrails didn't do anything except give you a wristband with the original Switch, but with the Switch 2, it looks like it adds an IR sensor. Is what like all the reports have been talking about, so that when you put it, how do you do that, vertically?
Yeah, vertically.
Yeah, and you put it on the ground, it looks like the sensor goes on the ground, so it works more like a mouse.
Yeah, and that brings me to my next question. Are we gonna start is Nintendo gonna start selling me mouse pads? Am I gonna be buying a Switch 2 case and mouse pad pack?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Is that?
And you better believe it's gonna have the Triforce on that one, Matt.
Yeah, we're gonna be buying them, or are they gonna be mouse pads sold separately?
Probably.
Yeah.
Although I guarantee they're gonna have
they,
it. In
they can't
cases
get away
now.
from the peripherals, bro. They can't get away from
no,
it.
it's the whole, they're a toy company, first and foremost.
Yeah, you can't get away from it. Somehow, some way, I'm still gonna buy some type of shit that goes with my console.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I actually think the idea of a mouse, for like the tabletop game, because again, the screen's a lot bigger. They did change the kickstand as well, so that it works more like the OLED one. Obviously, a little bit like lighter. It doesn't seem as like a thick stand like the OLED models currently. But
I'm gonna tell you, I know why they're doing this. They're doing it for me, for Kid Icarus. It's gonna be a premier game on the Switch too.
I would love that.
That's where
I
I'm at.
would love that.
That would be the perfect game to play it on. That's what they're doing for me. They said it to me. They told me.
Here's my theory. I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to come out on the normal Switch, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like a month or two before the actual Switch 2. I think it's going to have a mouse update. Like, they're going to have the Switch 2 version of it, like the update, and they're going to be like, now you can play with the mouse and shoot with more accuracy.
Yeah. You think they'll just call it a mouse or some type of weird Nintendo name?
The Joy Mouse?
Yeah, it's going to be like a Joy Mouse. Yeah. It'll come with a Joy trackpad or some shit. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But we're definitely buying mouse pads now for Nintendo, I bet.
Yeah, and I bet. Well, to me, it's kind of cool. Like, you'd put it in your carrying case.
Yeah.
If you're sitting down at a table somewhere and you need to kick some time, you're playing. I'm really excited for the idea of being able to play, because I imagine that games will have one be a mouse and then your left be like the actual control. I think that's going to be sick, personally, because I've never been able to play a mouse with a analog stick.
Yeah, so what I would hope going forward is if they come out with any first-person shooters, that they would be ranked crossplay with PC. If you have a mouse,
that would be sick. I know Splatoon 4 is going to use it.
Oh yeah, Splatoon 4 is absolutely all right. I take it back. Kid Icarus is not premiering with it. Splatoon 4 is, and then Kid Icarus will come in time.
Yeah, I think Metroid Prime and Splatoon are like the first franchises I think of. When you said Kid Icarus, though, I was like, on-rail shooter. Also, Star Fox.
Yeah,
they're all gonna have that as their.
Imagine Nintendo comes and becomes the premier console to play shooters on.
I mean, that's how I felt about the DS as a kid.
Yeah.
When I was using the stylus, I was just like, Halo could never.
Master Chief would.
I was like, man, Metroid Prime Hunters is so sick. I'm so good at this. And I played Halo with the controller, and I was like, I am so ass at this. But yeah, I actually, like, the more I think about it, I'm like, that could be a really cool defining feature that separates it from the Switch 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that's true. We haven't got full confirmation. The video makes it seem like I would be like, Nintendo, people are gonna jump to that conclusion. If they really are like, we really didn't think you would, I'm gonna be shocked.
We just wanted a cool animation of it sliding across the table.
It's like, you could have done it any other way. Like,
why don't you just do it flat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel you. How did you feel about the color?
I'm gonna be real. I'm not
a fan.
I'm not the biggest fan of just like black and gray.
It's black and gray, and then underneath the sticks is what, blue and orange?
Yeah, blue and red.
It's red? Okay,
red's weird.
It looked like orange in the video, and I was like, oh God, get it away from me. I hate orange.
Yeah, see, I think they'll have choices for you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, but yeah, they're gonna start with the red and blue ones. And their red always looks weird.
Yeah.
So I just hope there's a green option. I also hope that they don't. I hope that that's not the color scheme only.
Yeah.
I actually would think I would like it better too if like the shell has multiple options.
Yeah.
Because I know it sounds weird, but I don't mind that my Switch has a colorful look to it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I use the white Joy-Cons, but I like that you can tell where they start and the console is.
Mm-hmm.
I just like options. So I think it looks better as a sleek design, but it's not Nintendo to me. I need that colorfulness.
The colorfulness, I agree. What would you say is one need, like, what's the feature you need the Switch 2 to have? It has to have it.
It has to have it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's already got it for me. Portability that docks. Like, for me, being able to play console games on the go, and being able to like connect them to my TV is important.
Well, that's what the Switch has inherently. What does the Switch 2 have to have that makes it better than the Switch 1? Is it like, does it have to have the stable frame rate, better resolution? Like, what is something that you need the Switch 2 to have?
I need that mouse to be real.
Yeah,
I do. That's the only thing that I need from Nintendo is something new.
Yeah.
Because I love the Switch and I love Nintendo, but they've never done just like an upgrade. So the fact that like, yeah, it is like, it just seems like a bigger Switch. I'm like, if that mouse thing is real, that's a game changer for me. That just changes like 4 franchises from them into like another level,
a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people who don't PC game, especially if they're playing Switch. They're playing the Switch. They might be the only thing that they have. They're going to be having a completely different experience when it comes to aiming and shooting in any way, or aiming any type of aiming game, especially because the Joy-Cons happen to be some of the worst experience when it comes to whether it be first-person shooting or anything. We see it with Splatoon. We do enjoy it with the aiming with the Joy-Cons, but playing with a mouse is going to be very, very different.
I don't say I'd always have to bust out my Pro controller because I love the Joy-Cons for what they are.
Yeah,
they're a handheld controller, but to me that's what they are. Is that they're a half measure. They're a stopgap because they're not as functional. They're not as comfortable or as functional as a full-fledged controller.
Yeah.
But I kind of was hoping I guess that's one thing I'm a little disappointed in is that the analog sticks don't look very much different.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping for a little bit more. Considering they're going for a bigger size, you don't have to worry about it fitting in my pocket because it's not.
It won't.
It's just not going to fit there anymore. But I've heard from people that like part of the tech of why they showed like the thing, like the blue and red going around it, is that they did improve it. People who like went hands on with like the prototype at CES or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you don't know what CES is, Consumer Electronics Show. It happened recently at the beginning of the year. It's where NVIDIA revealed its new graphics card. And there were some prototypes of the Switch 2 there. And so I do know people have said that they feel better, but I have to get my hands on to really believe that's true because from a look, it just seems like they made the like actual thumb part just a little bit thicker with the bevels. So, not too excited. I'm not too hopeful that that's improved. But yeah, other than that, I really just need like that mouse function. Even if like the games that I love don't even use it, I like that there's something new to it.
Yeah.
And so I could look forward to franchises I normally wouldn't play because maybe now I think they'll be cooler.
Yeah, they'll have you're yearning for the experience, and you'll experience it through those games.
Yeah. Kind of imagine also like strategy games.
Yeah.
Like think of strategy RPGs like Fire Emblem and being able to just use your mouse to
click your units and tell them where to go. Yeah, it will
That's
be
actually going to be way cool.
I imagine myself using that function a lot more on a docked mode, like I would with the pointing and like aiming with this current Switch. I didn't really like to use that in the small screen. I preferred putting it docked and then using it.
See, I agree with you on that, but I also, because the screen's so much bigger, I actually felt like the OLED was already getting to a big enough screen that I personally never dock it unless I'm playing Smash Bros. Or Mario Kart with people. I just have not, even if I'm uncomfortable holding it, I'll just tabletop it because it's a whole inch bigger. It felt better. This one is another 2 inches bigger than the Switch OLED, and I'm like, okay, I honestly like the mouse thing makes more sense to me why the screen's so much bigger because I'm like, I could easily play that. Yeah. I think personally, but I also understand if it's like, I'd rather do it on dock. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, we'll definitely see. One last question before we move on to something else you just spoke on with the reveal. How do you, with the mouse feature, do you think we're going to be left clicking with R1 and then right clicking with R2 based off size?
Yep.
Yeah. My immediate thought was I was just going to be clicking once, but I was like, actually, there's 2 buttons up there for me to click.
I actually think it's quite interesting. I've always felt that.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that the R1, the top one, always like it overhangs a bit on the normal Joy-Con? Yeah. I've always felt like you could play it sideways like that. I never thought about a mouse.
Yeah. I hope we're not using the stick also. That would be too weird.
I think the stick would be cool if they find a way to make it to implement it well. Like you wouldn't use it to aim. Like maybe it's like mouse buttons. Like it's direct. It's its own quick select radial menu.
It could be that, yeah, or acceleration, deceleration.
Because if you're clicking like this and then you just do this, or you click the stick because it's it's R3.
It's a button. Yeah.
Yeah, that could just be another mouse button.
I see that.
Also, just put League of Legends on there and I never have to have Riot Vanguard on my computer again.
Yeah. Imagine, dude. That would be really sick. Then you did kind of touch on the game Mario Kart. That was revealed in the Switch 2 trailer. So, what are some of the features that you found on the internet about what they revealed?
Okay, so it's all speculative because again, we've been shown it for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, one thing we did get confirmed is that there's 24 character slots on the start of the race. So this is double the characters that were in the last Mario Kart 8, which was 12 players. So 24 character races is already nuts.
Yeah, and 24 character races is like no matter what. So if you're racing solo, it's going to be you and 24 or 23 NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
If you play online, you'd be able to play online with up to 24 people, or maybe
that's the hope. Nintendo has had times where they don't.
maximize that.
Yeah, because like the original Mario Kart DS
Yeah.
was eight racers, but when you went online, it could only go to 4.
What can Mario Kart 8 currently go to?
Mario Kart 8 does actually go to the full 12 players.
Okay.
But I think Mario Kart Wii, and I could be wrong on this, so please correct me, listeners, if I'm totally off base. But if I remember, Mario Kart Wii had an 8-player limit, even though it was a 12-player racer.
Okay.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if they still limit it to like 12 when you play online. But I also think that like they're pretty confident in their online now. They've been adding it a lot more to games.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume 24, but I also just keep my expectations in check from my history with Nintendo. But yeah, the other thing too is that there seems to be like gas stations.
Yeah, I saw
that you can like pull into.
Yo.
Or like I don't know if they're just like on the side, but if tracks are like that long and the game is about like managing boosts, like so that's what people have been leaking. Because again, this is all rumors because we only have 5 seconds to go off of. But people are showing that like the carts when they get close to them look like they have tanks on them now, and the theory is that you can boost anytime you want, but it costs more of your gas. And so if you run out of fuel, you have to go fill up.
Ooh.
And so I'm like, that would be cool, but it also sounds overly complicated for Mario Kart, personally.
Yeah. What I'd like is some of my favorite stages in Mario Kart are the ones that have only one round. It's a really long map from start to finish. If you give me some like the newest features, like a big cross country type race, which is just a big, huge race that you can do, or maybe something that's, I don't know if I'd go as far as to open world, but specific zones, and then you can do races on tracks within those zones. Like that might be really fun.
I think that they'll do that in not the zones thing. I do think that they'll make really big tracks that are just one lap. One thing we did know though that got essentially confirmed just off visual language, it does look like these will be following the steps of the tour maps where they change per lap. Because one of the shots showed like them going to a turn, and then there's clearly another like route, but it's blocked off on that turn, on that lap that they're on. And so I actually think that that's really cool. That was one of my favorite things about the tour maps. But because they were for mobile, they would just put arrows there. I like that. Like it seems like it changes because like that place had physical barriers that looked like they appeared between the laps. So
yeah, same question. What's a feature that you would need Mario Kart 9 to have, or are looking for?
That I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say like just it's Mario Kart 9. I'm already in.
Yeah. Each of them always have an interesting type of mechanic added to it. Like Mario Kart 8, is that when they introduced it anti-grav, or was yeah? And then you had
7 did the underwater and gliding.
And then
we brought in the bikes.
Okay. Yeah.
Double Dash was
Double Dash. Double Dash was 2 people.
And then 64 was into 3D for the first time.
So yeah, what is a cool feature that you'd like to see represented in Mario Kart?
So I'm going to be real. If the gas mechanic is real, that is a very interesting change. But I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah.
Because I am, to be completely honest with you, I'm one of those people that considers Mario Kart 8 to kind of be the pinnacle. I've been lost on where they would go.
Yeah.
I actually understood why they didn't make a new one for Switch, because I was just like,
how
do you beat it? It looks gorgeous. It runs amazing. It has 96 courses. Anti-grav is awesome, but it includes like everything the series has done. I'm like, what can they do?
Dude,
and then they're just like 24 players, cross country.
That's what I want.
Gas.
I want to take it from being the next level of kart game. Instead, like that might be too much, you never know. But I think that bigger stages, longer races, having different modes, whether it be like your traditional stages, and then you have like you can do a Grand Prix that is exactly like 2 races, and they're just 2 very, very large races. Something like that could be really fun.
I also, if you want like my wish list, I guess the only thing I wanted from Mario Kart 8 more was I wanted Mario Kart to become Smash Kart, essentially. And I think with 24 racers, that you honestly kind of have to, because Mario can't really... I mean, it could, but you're going to be pulling some really stupid stuff, like putting a Goomba behind a cart. He doesn't have any hands. Like, so
yeah, it's okay.
So I don't want them to do that. I would rather it just be like, dude, throw Kirby in there,
Yeah.
throw Zelda in there, throw Samus, throw F-Zero. Like, I would love it if just a bunch of Nintendo franchises. And if you want to like go beyond that, it would be really sick to see Mario and Sonic together in a go-kart racer.
Yeah. I would love to see that. I agree with you. I would love to see a bunch of the Nintendo franchises making it in there, like Smash, and just having them have their stages and their carts and stuff represented.
Can you imagine if you had Pikachu and there's like a Pokefloats level where you're like racing in the clouds and it's the floats and stuff, and like, you know, when Pikachu like passes you, he's like Pika Pika.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you there.
Yeah, so if I could have any dream, it would be that. I also the redesigns of the characters in Mario Kart 9 look incredible.
Yeah, they look really good.
Mario is using his new Wonder model.
I had a quick question. Do you think a Wonder Flower is going to show up in the items?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Also, did you see Donkey Kong's new redesign?
Yeah, he's big.
Yeah, he looks more like the old school arcade Donkey Kong. I'm down with it, as long as they don't get rid of the other Donkey Kong, which I know they won't, because he's the Donkey Kong at Super Nintendo World.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, they're not going to get rid of him, because I think Rare's design of Donkey Kong is still the best. But I think Rare's Donkey Kong doesn't fit that, like, graphically hasn't fit that well in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Like the last like 5. Just because like his fur always looks gross because they don't give him fur, they just make matted nastiness. So he's always like, because I'm a huge Donkey Kong fan, if you couldn't tell, but I never play him in Mario Kart because I'm like, he looks ugly as sin. I'm not playing that character. He always looks like one of the worst models, and I actually think he looks good in Mario Kart 9, and I'm like, oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
They're
time.
finally giving him a good redesign for Mario Kart, because his other model just was not hitting. But yeah, I can't believe they're just doing Mario Kart though. I will say I did think they would show more.
Yeah,
at this reveal.
I was surprised because I'm not that keen on Mario Kart. So when it all happened, I was like, okay, cool. So they're bringing Mario Kart to it, and somebody's like, that's a new Mario Kart. I'm like, what? And so I had to go back and rewatch it, and now I don't know if we're not gonna see that until post the Nintendo Switch 2. Like a showcase direct, right? We're not
which
gonna
is
see anything.
April 2nd.
Yeah, so, and that's supposed to come out this year, right? The Switch 2. So, we'll see.
Do you think it's going to be a summer or fall release?
I think it's going to be a fall release or holidays. I think it's coming out November, right before Christmas.
I hate that.
I'm pretty confident.
I wish they would do a summer release, but you're completely right.
Nintendo always comes out with their best shit around like November, December. I feel like, for you to buy it for the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Kart traditionally has been a spring, late spring, early summer game. To be completely honest,
so hear me out.
That's the only reason
maybe Mario Kart 9 isn't coming out until next spring.
I am firmly of the opinion that Mario Kart 9 has to be a launch title, since that's the only game they showed for it. It's not like, because like, you know, they did show like clips of Odyssey in the original Switch reveal, but it was mostly Breath of the Wild, and it was like, well, yeah, Breath of the Wild's the one that's going to start it.
Yeah.
And then they showed Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which came out a month later. This time, we have no Zelda. We have no Mario. We only have Mario Kart that they showed us. And I'm like, okay, so it's the game that will be out with it.
If that mouse feature is like important to the Switch 2, are you afraid that it's going to be important to the next Zelda and we're going to be back to using this to attack?
I would hope not. You've given me a new fear to have every night I go to sleep now.
Because you know Mario's going to utilize it. You know that, like, most of the, I think Mario and Zelda always utilize something about the console, or make the console prevalent in the game, you know? So
the only thing, though, with Mario, doing it is I'm confused how they will, because like the mouse feature feels like something that's going to be designed for specific games.
Yeah.
If I'm being if I had my own like thoughts on it, because taking the Joy-Cons off and switching to mouse mode doesn't seem as like easy to do as just taking them off and motioning, because it will depend on this. As of right now, I don't know if the mouse feature works without the guard, because I didn't see the sensor on the normal one because it just has like the connector. When you connect that thing to the like wrist guard thing, it adds like quite a bit of extra features and has 2 sensors on it. If that's the case, I actually don't think the mainline Mario will use it.
Okay.
Just because like, not unless they really want to try and make a 3D platformer with a mouse and keyboard. Or I guess with a mouse and analog stick.
Right. Mario didn't. Does Mario historically utilize the console's like features or no?
Yes, he usually does.
Usually does.
Like Mario 64 obviously used the analog stick.
Yeah.
And then for Sunshine, it was the pressure triggers. For Flood, and then Galaxy used the Wii remote to like aim. And then Odyssey, yeah, you use the Joy-Cons for everything. They even used HD Rumble.
Yeah, so he's probably gonna use it in some capacity, right?
He's gonna use it in some capacity, but I do feel like it will be more for side things.
Yeah,
like you'll go to like do a challenge for a star or a moon, whatever they choose to make the collectible this time, and then it'll be like, please switch to mouse mode for these mini games. And because I just don't. I could be completely wrong, because Nintendo will always like prove me wrong, because it's impossible to guess on them. But I can't imagine you playing the full game.
Yeah.
Like this. That just seems odd when like the other core feature of the Switch is being able to play it like this.
Yeah.
That's why I think like specific game franchises that rely on like shooting or like menu navigation, I feel like are going to be the ones that really take that.
Maybe there will be a button or something you can hold, and there will be something along the lines of a cursor, like maybe just like a trail of stars or something, and you'll be utilizing that when playing as Mario. And so you can do it with the analog stick, or you can do it with mouse mode.
I hope that's not true, because I need the analog stick to hit camera control. I do not want Mario to return to not having camera
I don't. I doubt it'll be all the time. But yeah, was there anything else that you had on the Switch 2 reveal?
Nothing other than like the rumored specs. It's really cool to know that it's an NVIDIA chip, so it'll have DLSS.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that the dock seems to be capable of going above 1080p to like 4K with DLSS, and the docking station. I do think that like for once now I'll be able to look nicely at games on my dock.
Yeah.
Well, because like with 4K TVs, like 1080p being the max output, which is very rare to get. Most of the time it's 800 to 900p on Switch games in dock. That leaves a really gross image. It does. It's why I only play in handheld, besides like specific games like Smash Bros. That run 1080 60. So I will say I'm quite a bit more excited for the docked mode for Switch 2, because I'm like, even if it's upscaled, I would like to have a crisp image of these games, because I love Nintendo's graphics and art design. But when Breath of the Wild first came out, my TV was still 1080 and it looked amazing on there. When I got a 4K TV, by the time Tears of the Kingdom came out, I was like, this looks like ass.
It does not look nearly as good.
I'm just gonna play it on my handheld. So, but yeah, what about you? Do you have anything specific you're looking forward to in Switch? I feel like
No, I was excited to ask you a lot of questions about it, because I myself am not a big Nintendo fan. So I am lucky to always be surprised when new Nintendo things come around, because I'm not, I don't know about it beforehand. This is the first time I heard about leaks about something before it happened, so I'm pretty oblivious to most things Nintendo. So I was excited to ask you a lot of questions about it.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, new year, new game. I'm going to use this as many times as I can.
Yeah. New year, new me.
Yeah, new year, new game. So, there's a game we want to try out. We're going to probably keep it around for a little while. It's a game I like to call 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Simple name.
Simple name.
Essentially, how it works is there's or if we agreed upon 5 different games, of those 5 games, we will choose 4 that we want to represent. Of those 4, one of them will choose 3 sound bites. So we'll play 3 sound bites, and we'll see if you can guess the game. Of those 3, if you can't guess it, we'll choose 2 names of characters from a different game that isn't from the same of the 3 sound bites. Finally, we will give 1 word from the title of one of the games. Now, essentially, you can earn a max of 6 points. 3 sound bites worth 3 points. 2 names are worth 2 points. And then the 1 word is worth 1 point because it's the easiest. And then finally, the last bonus point, which will be worth 3 points, is guessing the game that we chose not to represent of the 5. We could choose 4. So I will start this off so that I can kind of show you how it goes, and we'll see how you like it, okay? Okay, so first and foremost, let me go ahead and pull this up here. So the games that we chose, of the 5 games we chose, there were Scarlet and Violet. This is Pokemon themed, by the way.
Yeah.
Pokemon themes. Perfect for Nintendo.
Perfect for Nintendo.
So we got Scarlet and Violet, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, Red, Blue, Gold, Silver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to play you sound bites from one of those games that I chose.
And then I have to guess. Okay.
Then you have to guess, okay? We'll play the first sound bite.
Okay. What's the next sound bite?
Okay, we'll play the next sound bite.
All right, next sound bite.
Okay, final sound bite. Okay.
The Sun and Moon?
It is Sun and Moon.
Yes.
Yes, so you got 3 points. Nice job. Nice job. Now, so I represented Sun and Moon with my 3 sound bites. Now, a different game, I used 2 character names. These names are Peony and how do I say this? SQ, Ice Cube. So Peony and Ice Cube.
Is that Scarlet and Violet?
It is not. It is not Scarlet and Violet.
So I lost on those 2 points.
You lost on the 2 points. And then finally, 1 word, gold.
Gold and silver.
Yeah, that is.
All right, so now I have to guess.
Which game did I remove from my, was not going to represent?
Red, Blue?
Yes.
Dang, okay.
Yeah.
And 1. So
yeah.
with 3, 1, and an 1, I got 5 points.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Now it's time for my sound bites.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one. Okay, next one. Is that Red and Blue?
It is not.
Damn it.
Sorry.
Damn. Okay.
All right.
I know it's not Red and Blue, but was it Gold and Silver?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It was one of those two. I was like, that sounds old.
It was Lugia.
Yeah. I was like, I recognize the sound, but
I went and found his move that's only unique to him. So
Yeah.
I'm like, it can only be in silver version.
okay.
Yeah. All right. For the 2 names, Pierce and Hop.
Oh, that's Sword and Shield.
You got
I know Hop. That's my boy.
All right. And then for the word, blue.
Red and Blue.
All right. Can you guess which one I didn't pick?
Sun and Moon?
You did.
Yeah.
All right. So you got 5 points as well.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. We got our tie for the first game.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's a game
That's
I want
great.
to keep around for a little while. We'll keep choosing different themes and whatnot and see how it goes. Okay.
Yeah. No, I actually really like that. Perfect way to start the year with a stalemate. Love it.
Yeah.
I will. One of us will win.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our break. After we come back, we're going to be talking about a game that you decided to bring and a last boss topic that I really have a lot to say about.
Awesome.
And welcome back from the break. Hope you had a good time. Jason, how was your break?
Oh, it was, so full of rest.
So
I
full
feel
of rest.
like I could climb a mountain. How was your rest?
So good. So we're going to be talking about we like to bring a language defining game most likely we'll do this every episode for the year, whether it be one of ours or one of our guests. But it's a game that doesn't necessarily have to be our favorite game or our least favorite game, but it is a game that defines how we look at games, be it for good or for worse. And it looks like there's a very specific game that you brought that is genre defining.
Yep.
And that game is, I'll let you
It
introduce.
is Dark Souls.
Yes.
The first one.
The one I didn't play at all.
That you need to correct that.
Yeah, I refuse. I watched one of our close friends, Bryce, play it. I won't be playing that game.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I did not like
Really?
it.
Even
Yeah.
after Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring?
No, I did not
No
like Dark
interest.
Souls.
Okay.
I did not like it.
Dang.
But let's talk about why you like it.
Mhm.
So, of course, when we do these language defining games, we talk about 5 core features: the story, visuals, music, gameplay, and impact. Start with story. Now, with the Dark Souls game, or with the Souls games, story isn't always at the forefront. It's kind of a mixed thing where it's you get these really, I want to say, captivating cutscenes, but if you're not paying attention to the lore within the items and everything, you don't understand anything that's going on. So I wanted to ask, and they use a lot of obscure terms and everything. So what is it about the story that means something to you?
So the reason I really love the story of Dark Souls is because I love the way that it's told.
Yeah.
And you are right. It's not very in your face, but I'm a big fan of like Shadow of the Colossus. It's one of my favorite games as well. And that game doesn't really put the story beat it over your head too much. And the reason being is that you're given this world that has a lot of rich lore, and Dark Souls opens up with like a lore pre-rendered cutscene that tells you about the war between the dragons and the gods.
Yeah.
And how life decayed and how that brilliance from the golden age has diminished, and now people, you who are cursed and branded, you are infecting this world, but you have the chance as one of the chosen curses to fix this. That's what you're given when you start the game, and then from there it's about you making your own character. And for me, this is like the reason I brought this game is that this was the game that started 2 things for me. One, immersion. This is the first time I played a game where I was like, holy shit, I forget that I'm playing a game. Like, I get so invested in the world. And the other thing is that this is the first game that I played where I turned the HUD off. This is what started my HUD-less gaming. And the reason for that was the story. I liked that my character was me. And it was like, what's the character's backstory? Because I was researching this stuff before I played the game. And it's just like, there is none. It's what you pick. It's like, my guy is just an unlucky soul that got captured for just living too long and being, cursed. So going through the story, it made me, the way that it's told, because it's told through like item descriptions to get more lore to like help contextualize where you are. That was something I'd never done in a game. Like, it asked me to read an item, read who it belonged to and like its history. But then it also asked me to, hey, look at the corpse that you picked the item from. Can you infer anything from that? Can you infer that like, oh, this item here is on a corpse that's like, piked. And it was like, oh, this item is, belongs to a certain type of people from a certain land that are hated by these people. And then you read another item that talks about like this types of people love to impale these groups of people. And then you're just like, so a battle between these 2 factions happened here.
Yeah.
No one's here anymore besides like undead monsters. But it's cool to know that like, oh, I learned a story.
Yeah.
And because like there's never like a defined canon, because it's so vague and it's all about you picking up the pieces and telling that story to yourself. I always love it. It makes every playthrough feel, and every game that FromSoft makes me look forward to that and seeing what story did I get from it. But the best part about it too is when your friends get addicted to it, you find out what their theory is. And especially since there's multiple endings, these games don't like. I really think that there's something special about it not having a defined story, because it allows people to tell their own narratives without having to be as complex as a game like Baldur's Gate. Like, I don't need the narrative choices because the narrative is factored by my actions instead of my, like, dialogue choices. And I absolutely love narrative games like that. So, but this was, like, the first time I'd played something like
An
it, 'cause
experience like that.
I always played Dragon Age and Mass Effect and all kinds of RPGs that were narrative choices. But this was the first game where I was like, man, this narrative really is my own and in such a unique and different way. So yeah, that's all that sticks out in the story for me. Because like personally, whenever I do like reflect on it, I'm like, oh, the story's pretty simple. It's just a fantasy, an apocalyptic fantasy.
I think that what the Souls genre or like FromSoft does with their Souls games is they make an enticing world, and a lot of these characters have, albeit dramatic, but very what's the word? Damning stories. Like they're so tragic a lot of the time, and so it's hard not to be interested in what's going to happen, because almost every single story that I ever like pay attention to ends up in some terrible, sad way.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's also like there's that just allure of history.
Yeah.
Like I'm always attracted to mythological figures like Jason and the Argonauts and, you know, Hercules, you know, the myths we've all grown up with. And FromSoft finds a way in the Souls games to make their own legends that are just as interesting for me to read about. Like, I loved learning about Lord Gwyn and his like whole scheme to keep the like Golden Age going way past its like allotted time. But then you also have like the story of like the humans and how like their inner darkness is what's taking out the flame, but that darkness deserves to shine, I guess, or deserves its time in the ruling. There's just so many things and so many characters and lore figures that you just get attached to that makes me go, all right, I'm either going to play again and pay attention to the items, or I'm going to watch Vadi Vadia.
Yeah. So last question I wanted to have on the story wise, when it comes to Dark Souls 1, well, I guess it's Dark Souls, of the stories that they tell, which one is like your favorite or, you know, stood out to you the most?
I mean, honestly, it's probably Dark Souls 1's the first one that captivated me.
Well, yeah, I mean, like in Dark Souls 1, which of the story? There's always a like a rich history of
Artorias of the Abyss.
Artorias of the Abyss.
Artorias and Sif.
Give me a little like summary of his story.
Artorias was a knight of Gwyn who was asked to take on to solve the problem of the Abyss, which is a darkness stemming from the first man, Manus.
Manus? That's the first man's name is Manus?
Yeah, and he's a huge
man.
And Artorias was a legendary figure and one of the like greatest knights of Gwyn. That's why he was tasked with this. He had a faithful companion, Sif, that was a giant wolf. And he worked alongside him to try and save this town called Ulasil. And when he went there, by the time your character's story is told, it's thousands of years later, maybe hundreds, but it's been a very long time. He is just history at this point. But you've been told that he succeeded. He was the Abyss Walker. When you go and find his real story, you find him when you travel back in time, broken, corrupted by the Abyss. He never won. He lost. And the thing is because it's a time travel story, you're the one who defeated Manus. But because you freed Sif and you saved him, because one of Artorias' last like acts was putting a warding shield on his beloved companion to not allow him to be corrupted as well. So you save Sif, and then you defeat Manus. But because Dusk, the princess of Ulasil, you don't really like talk to her. You're not really that type of person, like that character. You disappear. She thinks Artorias saved her. So the legend is you were the one who accomplished those great feats. Artorias is a valor stealer.
So did he steal it, or just by happenstance?
By happenstance, because of how heroic he was and how beloved he was, no one could believe that he failed. And it made it more tragic, and it made his fight so much cooler putting him to rest.
Yeah.
And then it also, that DLC made it to where if you save Sif before you have to fight him in modern time, he remembers you.
Really?
And it makes it a really sad fight.
Wow.
So,
Again, tragic.
yeah. So I find stories like that, and I would discuss it with my cousin Chance all the time because we were both obsessed with Dark Souls 1, and especially Artorias.
Yeah.
We would watch so many videos. We also like FromSoft is so freaky, like, and I love them for it, but like he actually talks to you, Artorias does. You don't know it though. You have to play it in reverse.
Really?
Yeah. But he like talks to you in like a demonic like wails. But if you like actually go and break it down and reverse it, he's telling you that he's cursed and that you need to like free him or something.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, shit. Maybe I should play Dark Souls 1.
Yeah. No, it's an incredible game.
Okay.
Also, you get to cut tails off. So.
Yeah. Is that when you can do it?
Mm-hmm. They took
Yeah.
it away after that one.
Is that one single player or multiplayer?
Multiplayer.
Okay.
And the remastered version put it up to 4 players instead of 3.
Is it on PC?
It is.
Uh-oh. Okay. Question. Again, not question 2, but second, visuals. So I think that there's no question that FromSoft has a very distinct style. Some would say the best art direction out right now.
Yeah.
Regardless of like how complex or like simple some of the not complex or simple, but how complex they can be or how simple certain things can look. Something about their art direction is just beloved by most, if not all.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the visuals when it comes to this Dark Souls 1 specifically?
Dark Souls 1 specifically, I have nostalgia for it, so
Yeah.
I obviously have a biased perspective, but I still actually like looking at Dark Souls 1
Yeah.
personally. There's something about how it straddles the line between modern graphics and video game graphics.
Mm-hmm.
The art design is incredible. There's so many shots in Dark Souls 1 that you look at and you're just like, yeah, that's a screensaver.
Yeah.
It's just like they have wallpaper ass photos at every like locale you go to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's something like there's something just incredibly charming though about how it looks to me.
Mm-hmm.
The simplicity of the graphics, but at the same time complex. Like,
Yeah,
you know, this is
yeah.
more detailed than like, you know, a Nintendo game from that era.
Yeah, but not as like polished as like a Nintendo game would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, graphically also not as polished as like an Uncharted game.
Yeah.
And
But that's kind of like it's almost like it's ragged, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. But it's still like really pretty. Like if you took something like very beautiful and it got very ragged, there are certain imperfections in there. But those imperfections don't what normally makes those imperfections still like stand out as beautiful is like the animation. I really,
Mhm.
really, really like animation in Dark Souls and in the Soulsborne games. So I sometimes feel myself being like, oh, I'll criticize the way that finger looks, but then the way it moves, I'm like, okay, well, it looks cool.
I was going to say, that's one thing also about Dark Souls 1 visually that I still think is the best in the franchise, even compared to Elden Ring. The way that animations chain together is much more smoother in
Yeah.
Dark Souls 1. I don't know what it was, why they did that. Maybe they had more time because there's not as many weapons in Dark Souls 1 as there is in 2, 3, and Elden Ring. But your character would like, and it's not for every move, but I've shown this to people, but like with like the Claymore, when you're two-handing it, when you do light attack and then do a heavy attack, it seamlessly flows. It doesn't reset the animation like it does currently, because you know how it is.
Yeah.
You swing like this, and then you press R2, and your character just animation cancels into
Yeah,
charging their heavy.
Yeah.
But in Dark Souls 1, like if you would swing with two hands, you would swing down, and then they would spin that way. Like they would follow the flow to spin for the like R2
Oh, wow.
heavy attack. And if you did the normal R2 heavy attack, they wouldn't spin. You would see that they would just
Go
step
straight into it.
and do a horizontal slash. But because the sword was there and you comboed it, it essentially, they had an animation in there for some reason, and I love it for
Yeah.
it. But that's never been replicated in any of the other Souls games. The other thing, too, that Dark Souls 1 has that no one else has visually, your weapons appear in cutscenes. So when you're getting in a cutscene, your character will sheath their weapon, and you'll get to see it. And
Oh.
I know that's a small detail, but for me, it's everything. I love it.
Yeah.
There's nothing cooler to me than like when I was fighting Seath the Scaleless and he came and like went after me and there's my shield on my back, my sword in my sheath. And I'm like, shh.
Yeah, I think some of the animations that they have, or not animations, but cutscenes that they have before bosses, are the things I'm like working towards a lot of the time. It's how am I going to get through this horrible, horrifying, just godforsaking like stage or this area where I'm going to get fucking sneak attacked, I'm going to get trampled, I'm going to get tricked, I'm going to lose all my like resources. But when I finally make it through, I'm going to get like rewarded with an amazing introductory cutscene to the boss that's going to be memorable, and then we're going to have a dope fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it really nails it.
Yeah. So speaking of and I always go like, what's your favorite? What's your favorite? But when we talk about these the visuals and the cutscenes, and I know Artorias is your favorite boss in Dark Souls 1. Of Dark Souls 1, which was the cutscene that you really liked the most?
It's Artorias.
It's Artorias?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, if you saw it, you'd understand. There's just like an enemy, and then he comes in and stabs him, and then pulls it even further, and then the darkness starts to surround him, and then he does the wailing at you, which that's where the voice line comes from that you need to like play in reverse. But then he puts the sword on, still has the enemy impaled on it, and then throws their corpse at you, and then the battle starts.
Dang. Yeah, no, that is cold.
I'm like, this guy is super cool.
That is cold. That is cold. Okay. Up next, I want to talk about the music. So the music is, while I wouldn't say I know any track personally from any Souls games that I've played, it's still, the music is always
it's like ambient.
It's ambient, but there are certain bosses that I'll fight where I'm like, this is a great ass song, you know? So were there any, when we go with the music for Dark Souls 1, how do you feel about it?
I really like it. I don't think it's the best in the franchise, but I do love it because there's two tracks specifically I like.
Yeah.
The menu music, which is dun 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 dun. It sounds like Resident Evil 4 Save Room, which is another favorite of mine. So I was like, you know what? Take that inspiration, Miyazaki. It's all good. The other one is Gwen's piano theme.
Oh,
dun, 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 dun. It's a very good track.
Which game is it that you fight Gwendolyn?
This one.
Is it the first one?
Yeah. Gwendolyn's a secret boss.
Who is the person that you fight it's like a snake that it's in one of the Dark Souls. It might be Dark Souls
3.
Is it Dark Souls 3? That's probably still one of my favorite fights and like favorite stories was finding out about
the God Devourer Eldritch.
Yeah, the God Devourer, and like,
and he got Gwendolyn.
Yeah, he got Gwendolyn, and then he's like wearing Gwendolyn, so you like you think it's Gwendolyn, but it's not. It's the God Devourer. That was like probably the only story that I'd say that I was deeply into and like reading the lore.
I think that it would hit too even more because Gwendolyn actually talks to you. Like, he speaks to you. He's not just an NPC. I mean, not just a like boss that's just like got a cool cutscene and then kills you. Like, he talks to you. He tries to, like, you can be in a covenant with him, like the Dark Moon Blades. And so, yeah, when I found out that he was eaten by Aldrich in 3, I was just like, it's why I like Dark Souls 3 so much, is that it piggybacks on the lore of Dark Souls 1, which is why I'm like, I know some people hate it for like it being nostalgia bait, but I'm just like, it's not nostalgia bait. It's like legitimately getting like another 100 years of lore to your favorite lore. I'm like, I don't understand why you can hate it.
Yeah, Dark Souls 3 was where I was introduced to the Dark Souls universe, like me playing for the first time, and I haven't looked back.
Yeah, I know nostalgia is cheap, but like truly though, like if you liked the lore of Dark Souls 3, I feel like I always try to tell people, please go back to 1, because 1 really recontextualizes a lot of 3's lore and makes it hit so much better. Like, you don't understand how cool it was to hit the Nameless King, to finally find him.
Okay.
He was the missing son that's talked about throughout Dark Souls 1 that never gets answered. You finally get to meet him.
Dude, that's sick. And to get back on base, because I realize I'm getting off base, music-wise, were there any tracks or anything that stood out to you in Dark Souls 1?
Just the two I mentioned.
The two that you mentioned, yeah.
I was going to say, the other ones, they have good tracks, but they don't stick out as much as those two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then up next, I did want to ask you about gameplay. So this is kind of an important question for me, because I jumped into the series later down the line, so I want to know what are some things that they gained, what are some things they lost since Dark Souls 1 when it comes to gameplay.
So what they've gained from Dark Souls 1, they refined the melee combat a lot better.
Yeah.
But one thing they didn't do better, and why I still think Dark Souls 1 until Elden Ring was, I would contest, was the best of the like Soul series before, is because of one thing: the way that they did the world design. The level design in Dark Souls 1 is second to none.
Really?
For one, you can't fast travel until halfway through the game. And why that's so important is because one of the best things about Dark Souls 1 is how every area reconnects to itself. Like, you go to multiple areas, Catacombs, Blighttown, New Londo, the Undead Burg, and then like the church and like Sen's Fortress before you have to go to Honor Londo, which is above the wall.
It all kind of sounds like when you talk about the level design, it sounds almost like a Metroidvania where there's
exactly,
it's like a labyrinth of all things connected in different shortcuts and ways where you don't actually fast travel, but you get shortcuts that might as well be fast travel.
Yeah, and for the first half of Dark Souls 1, until you get the fast travel, it just makes you memorize everything in the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I really appreciated the game design. No game had done that to me before, in 3D, because Metroidvanias are 2D most of the time. And this one just was like, yeah, no, there's an elevator. Where's that go? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
This is back to Firelink. Like, there were so many moments like that when I was playing it for the first time, especially since I didn't have access to the internet when I first played it.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what to look up, and I'm just wandering aimlessly in this game. But I had such a good time discovering everything. And then when I beat the game and did go online and saw all the stuff I missed, I was like, this game is the best game ever.
Really?
Like,
Oh, wow.
missed whole ass areas. Like, it's one of those games that just has hidden stuff. So I'd say, like, gameplay wise, I still think the game holds up pretty well, but its combat is nowhere near as good as like Dark Souls 3 or Elden Ring. But I still think that, like, if you like the flow of like block, attack, like positioning and dodging, I think it still hits, at least for me. But
so you said earlier that they have less weapons. What weapons do you have to choose from in that game?
I mean, you still have quite a few. You have your normal short swords, long swords, bastard swords, and then the ultra great swords. I guess it's kind of every weapon type that's still in the series, just like there's only like 3 to 5 of each one.
Okay.
Besides the swords, there's like 20 swords.
Okay.
But they all have like different moves. I mean, well, not different from the later games,
but different moves from each other.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to combat, what's different, like in that game versus like Elden Ring? I know you and I talk about like rolling and things like that, or does it have full...
Rolling's where that was like the primary way to fight in that game, is get a light build, get all those iframes,
and then roll out of the way. That or block.
One thing that was more unique in that game to like mix it up was boss weapons. A lot of the boss weapons did have just like straight up unique heavy attacks.
Really?
Like I used the Black Knight halberd a lot, which I'm not usually a halberd guy, but I loved it in that game. And R2 would give you like this like jumping swing attack.
Really?
And it was sick. And I was like, yeah, that weapon's sick. And so I beat the game like 3 times with that one. And then I was like, okay, I'll go back to the Claymore.
Yeah.
But other weapons like Quaylogs and stuff, like they just experimented a lot more. That's the other thing. There was a bit more like weird, unique mechanics. Like they had flame, right? Like flame attacks, but they also had chaos, which was its own like different stat that instead of being based off of like your intelligence and faith, it was based off of your humanity that you had like stockpiled, which you can lose at any point. But if you have 99 humanity, which is like the most, you are going to be doing damage if you're using a chaos weapon. And so lots of risk reward. The Covenant system was also like really unique in that game. Yeah. Where you would like connect with factions. and people would actually get pissed off at you for choosing different ones. It's not as prevalent now since like the online community is not there for that one. They've moved on to Elden Ring and other games. But when it first came out, man, it was just cool to get like invaded by some like evil douchebag from the Dark Wraiths, and then to have like a Dark Moon Blue Knight just come in and like
and fight him,
be summoned, and was like no, and then like there's an area that's like the Forbidden Forest that is its own covenant, and if you're part of that covenant, you get summoned when people go to that area to kill them.
Really?
Because you're like, this is my land. You are not supposed to be here. It's sacred ground. Die. And so a lot of people PvP there. It's a really cool area. But yeah, the game had a lot of cool mechanics. And especially like with like the level design, there's stuff that I still think Dark Souls 1 you can't get in the other games. So
okay. Last thing I did want to ask about is impact, of course. What impact would you say that this game had on you? Do you think it had on the industry? There's overall.
I mean, if we go off industry, you can't play a video game today without seeing the impact of FromSoft. Anytime there's a stamina bar, it's FromSoft. Do they roll? FromSoft. Do they use R1 and R2 for the attacks? It's FromSoft. Do you lose progress when you die, but have a chance to get it back? It's FromSoft. Like. I really like even God of War like 4. I was just like, they just Dark Souls Kratos. Like
yeah, big time.
And I don't mind it. I will say that like I love that it challenged games, but I will say I dislike that every game is trying to copy it. I'm so sick of every game being a Souls-like. But at the same time, it did start a new genre, and it's a genre I do love. Even if I get a little tired of it, I still love these games. And I still play them. I was playing Elden Ring yesterday. So, and like, if we're talking about personal impact, it like gave me a lot of faith back into video games. That like, we could tell like a mature fantasy games. But it also like completely changed how I played games. The HUDless, option, like every game I play now, I look for that. I'm like, mini-map, get out of here.
Yeah.
Health bar, get out of here. Like
it drives me crazy. I don't know how you play without a health bar.
Yeah, I mean, I won't for competitive games. Trust me, I know what my health is in Marvel Rivals, but but like FromSoft made me think differently about games, and like when it comes to like the HUDless thing, it's like it's weird how my brain has been permanently like rewired to be like, hey, is there a way I can tell if I'm at full health in a quick, easy way so that my immersion isn't broken by a bar being there all the time?
Yeah.
Because again, I'll still play with a health bar if I can't easily find out, or there's no like in-game way to tell what my health is.
Yeah.
It's why like Devil May Cry, I won't play HUDless because like I need to know. And pressing pause doesn't answer that question. But like, in the FromSoft games, you press pause, but the game doesn't stop.
Right.
And I know this sounds like really weird, but like Dark Souls 1, its menu has almost like a book border around it. So I always like headcanon that my guy is opening a book to check his stats and has like a magical book that tells him his health pool.
Like tells him everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I'm able to headcanon that stuff, and I do it with all the other Souls games, it just adds a rich experience for me. That I don't get from any other games, and I love it.
Dude, I respect it. I respect it. Yeah, I didn't used to play HUDless at all before, and then you've kind of been like convincing me, so I'm like little by little taking certain things off, and I'm like, okay, a minimized HUD is way more enjoyable than a maximized HUD.
Yeah, my whole thing is like, you don't have to make HUDless things, but just if there's one thing I wish every video game would do is customize HUDs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that all started from Dark Souls for me.
All right, well, dude, thanks for bringing that game. I think that it's a game that means a lot to a lot of people. It's one that I will eventually have to play. I will.
You definitely do. But with that, it's time for the last boss of this podcast. And the last boss today is a topic. The question I have to ask is, with the announcement of new hardware, I'd like to discuss what is it about new hardware that we look forward to the most. I'd like to start with you.
Yeah, for me, it's opportunity. you know. So when I'm a big PC gamer, right? So I was always trying to, since I want to say 2016, it's always been like, you know, what new graphics cards coming out, what new RAMs coming out, what parts am I going to be able to use, because all of these are going to create the opportunity for me to play games at a higher fidelity. Higher fidelity means more immersion, means better like experience, and it's just they're all the ability to experience something the way that the developers want you to, you know, how they in-house envisioned it, because every new piece of hardware, be it PC parts or an actual new console, is a new way for them to showcase their art form, you know? And so, like, let's use PS5, for example. The PS5 controller is such a cool addition with the adaptive triggers, with the, what is it? What do they call the Rumble?
Oh, man. Haptic feedback.
Yeah. And everything. It's just such a, like, I'm so happy I got to experience Ratchet and Clank on the PS5 with a PS5 controller, because that experience was a new way for me to experience video games. And so all of those opportunities is what gets me excited for hardware. What about you?
I was going to say, it's always the new opportunities and new games as well. Because, like, while I love better graphics, and I'm definitely becoming more of a graphics whore because of PC, before I really didn't care that much about them, but I always looked forward to the new leap, because it's like, well, you know, my eyes like to be fed.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that sticks out to me the most is that I am at my heart a software like lover and a new game enjoyer, and I always look forward to, with new hardware, is like, what game are you going to give me? Like, you know, when you ask about like, what about the Switch 2's like mouse thing are you excited about? It's like, I'm excited at the fact that, like, I'm going to play a Metroid game or a Star Fox game or a Splatoon game with this new control scheme, and that's going to rewire my brain on how I view that franchise and how I play those games. Same thing with like gyro, like manual aiming. That changed how I played Zelda games on the 3DS, because I was like, dude, I don't like shooting with a bow with a stick anymore. Yeah. I like doing that, and it and if you can't tell, listeners, I was rotating my hands and my body. But yeah, like, and like, you know, with Switch 2 or like with PC specifically, I look forward to like, okay, well, what can you do now? Because I think graphics have kind of peaked to a degree, like visually, like resolution wise. I know it's not going to go above 4K, and I can't even look at it above 4K because my monitor is only 4K. But I do know that like a new graphics card means more CPU, like more memory. Yeah. And I'm like, because I've been a big fan of like ray tracing, of like simulation, because I'm starting to find out as a PC player that, man, CPU intensive games are a big thing. And you might think, oh, I have this beefy card, it can do 4K 240 FPS. It can't if there's a bunch of physics going off.
The physics will blow everything up.
Yeah, but when you experience those new physics, you understand why they pushed it. Yeah. Because you're just like, it is so cool to see a level like interacting with itself and having destruction while multiple people are doing other things that are interacting at the same time. So whenever new hardware comes out, my brain immediately thinks of like, well, what are the developers going to do with that?
Exactly.
And that excites me the most.
What is their goal? What is the limitation that they broke through with this new piece of hardware, so that they can like showcase their art, that their vision in a most uncompromised way? And how am I going to get to enjoy that? You know, and even so, like, even if I don't get to beat the entire game or experience everything, it pushes the entire genre forward, or the entire like medium forward. And I'm just always excited to see where games are able to get to. I don't think I'll ever feel that games have peaked until we're at a place where I put on a fucking headset, I go inside the game, and I experience it in complete virtual reality. That's the only time I'll think that, okay, games can't get any better than this.
I think the only time that I'll get to that point is if there's a 5-year stretch where gaming doesn't evolve. And that's probably the only time I'll be like, all right, we're done. Yeah, but I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I don't think that like VR will eventually. I do think that VR is endgame, and it'll eventually be what we all utilize for gaming, for socially interacting, especially if we start to find ourselves less and less impressed by our like day to day. You know, if we get work and everything to be easily like access to virtual worlds, don't have to go to the office. You just go into the virtual reality to interact with everyone. Taking that and like pushing that hardware forward is where I think that gaming will like find its like absolute form. It would be crazy to be able to like play Skyrim with complete, not just Skyrim. I'm using that as an example.
Everyone knows what Skyrim is. Yeah, I get it.
But you using a game and being able to be in complete control of the body, the same way that I am in complete control of my body, is where I think that gaming will eventually get to. And then that's when I'll be like, okay, I've seen enough. And I can't wait to get there. Everything gets me closer and closer to that goal.
Yeah, when do I get to be a monster hunter?
Yeah, when do I get to play Monster Hunter and be that monster hunter? Or at least be like so immersed that when I'm in the game and I'm activating those skills and whatnot, either I'm like right there, right behind him, or I'm in the like first person view, you know? Mm-hmm. But I'm immersed. I'm 100% that my reality doesn't no longer exist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's funny. I don't know if I ever think of VR as the peak, as I see it as a different branch. But I also am like, I think that's just my old head gamer that thinks that way, because I'm just like, how could you make it without a controller?
Don't worry. In your VR world, you can play your game on a TV. Like
they have the boomer mode where
they got the boomer mode where you have a controller, but you're still in a VR world and you're still within a game. Whether you're within a game, I just think that that is where I imagine that gaming will peak for me personally.
Yeah,
because ultimately, I think I look at gaming as more of a. It can be a solo experience, but I think it's best experience as a like with multiple people.
Yeah,
social. There you go.
I'm gonna say I'm mixed on that, because I think the art side of it is like so good on the single player side, but I also am like, there's the art side of multiplayer where it's like, this cannot exist without multiple people, and that's really cool. That's another thing about hardware I always look forward to, though, as well, is how does it upgrade the social experience? Because that's, I went from playing really shitty Wi-Fi games with a max of 4 people to now I play battle royales that have hundreds of players playing together.
Yeah, and
that wouldn't be possible on the stuff that I played back then. So it's always cool to think about, like, we always ask, like, will this game series ever be like multiplayer? And I'm like, it's probably a tech hurdle.
Yeah.
And once that hurdle has been like, overcome with hardware, your dreams become reality.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't think that we should get to a place where there should never be another single player game at all, because you need those experiences, those solo experiences that you pretty much only really get in gaming. Because if you watch like most other things can be viewed with multiple people, but with a solo game, it kind of makes sense for that one person to be the focal point of the experience. You can't both two people be holding a controller and they're just passively holding onto it to feel the rumble and everything that's happening.
I actually agree with that a lot, because gaming really can't like a solo gaming experience is meant for one person. Yeah. A good one that tells a great story that's meant to impact the player themselves, because while someone could watch you play it, it's not the same.
Yeah, they don't feel it.
Yeah, but you are right. Like with movies, it's like we might all take something different, but like we can all watch Nosferatu at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, we can all watch it at the same time, and there's that choice there that doesn't change the experience. But with single player games, the experience is extremely changed between the person playing and the person watching. Completely separate experience, because the decision making is all within that one person. So that person's just viewing you play a game. But even still, I think that VR that can immerse the single player even further into that experience by completely isolating them from the outside world and putting them into this, like immersing them into this, like, so what's the word? Singular experience.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. But yeah, that's going to do it for The Last Boss. We are at the end of the episode today.
Yeah.
Pretty good one, I'd say. Great 2025 entry.
Yeah.
But as per usual, we're still going to be keeping up with video game vocabulary. And today's word is peripheral device. A peripheral device, or simply peripheral, is an auxiliary hardware device that a computer or game system uses to transfer information externally. A peripheral is a hardware component that is accessible to and controlled by a computer, but is not a core component of the computer or system. A peripheral can be categorized based on the direction in which information flows relative to the system. The computer receives data from an input device, such as like a mouse or a keyboard. Or the computer sends data to an output device, such as like a monitor, a printer, headphones. Or the computer sends and receives data via an input-output device, such as like a storage device or a modem or your router. That way it's sending out information to the internet and receiving it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many modern electronic devices, such as internet-enabled digital watches, video game consoles, smartphones, and tablet computers, have interfaces for use as a peripheral. Your controllers are peripheral, just to give you an example of one. But yeah, that's the vocabulary for today.
Yeah, I see with the Switch 2 coming out, get familiar with peripheral devices.
Mm-hmm.
That is just something that Nintendo always has.
That mouse pad's a peripheral.
And with that, we're going to get into our final credits. It is time for the final credits. This is the last part of the show where we give
you
30 seconds
uninterrupted
to say whatever your heart desires.
Be it salty,
sweet,
or say nothing at all.
The mic is yours.
Tell us what's on your mind.
And Jason, this is you in 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, it's a new year. It's a new me. And I don't really have any hot, spicy takes for you guys this time. Just want to say thanks for listening. Thanks for, being supportive of the game language. I love talking on this podcast. And I love Zelda and Dark Souls games. Also action games. I don't know what to say. Love you guys. Bye.
Game Language is recorded at Grizzly Voices Studios in Mesa, Arizona. Our producers are Jason Flynn and Troy Brown. Our intro music is our personal track, Penguin Symphony. Our outro music is Jump by Snail's House, also provided by Riot Music. Our editor and sound engineer is Adonis Shiflin.